Did you ever notice when you're grocery shopping the unbelievable variety of breads that are available in the bakery section of the store that you're in? It's amazing to me, such a great variety, such a great number of grains, consistencies, types of breads, even shapes of breads. We all have our favorite, you might say, bread to eat. And usually it's usually a very good quality bread that we enjoy, whether it's old-fashioned Jewish rye, or maybe it's the new Tuscany multi-grain that some of the stores have. But basically it's a wheat product. Today's scriptures on the 17th Sunday, in ordinary time, mention a product that we don't always associate with bread making, barley. Now, barley is found in soups. Barley is a basic ingredient of fermentation, so it's used in beers and other fermented products. It's, as I said, mixed into different things. But to speak of barley bread, even though there is such a thing, it's not the general use that we expect of barley. But barley is one of the oldest cereal products that we have grown as human beings. And in a very interesting sense, barley was the first of them to be used in making food that would sustain human beings. Now, it's interesting, barley, even to this day, is used not only as a product for humans, but it's sometimes used as part of feed for livestock. It gives a good quality to the meat that we will butcher of the animals that we will eat. But the barley bread is really, it basically was a bread of the poor. It was a coarser bread. It was not as refined as one would find wheat bread. It's very interesting that in the development of products that we eat, especially bread, the development of white bread, in a very real sense, was something that only the rich at one time could have eaten. You'd only find white bread in the 16th and 17th century on the tables of only the richest people, because they're the only ones who could really afford to buy something made from a highly refined wheat. And wheat is much more palatable than the products that come from barley. But the mention of barley loaves in both the gospel and in the Old Testament reading about the prophet Elisha remind us in a very real way that, first of all, Jesus and the prophet Elisha, as all the prophets of God, are always speaking to the poor. And if we don't realize that we're poor, we can't hear the message. What do you mean? You can't realize it unless you're poor. Poor here in a very real sense does not mean destitute, but it reminds us that we have no other expectation of help than God himself. We can't rely on our bank account or a bankroll or our jobs that we have as though that's going to be salvation. The poor are not only those who realize that everything is in the hands of God. The poor are also those who realize that they need something. When you're poor, you're needy, right? In a sense, the definition of poor is I need. I need everything. And in a very real sense, the scriptures that are offered to us are a reminder to us that God is the answer to all our needs. As the psalmist put it so beautifully in our scripture passage today, the hand of the Lord feeds us. He answers all our needs. And only God himself, in the end, can provide for the totality we need, both of body and spirit. And I think there's a two-dimension here, the body and the spirit. That when Jesus starts to speak, as he does in the Gospel of John, in the passages we're going to be hearing the next few Sundays, just John 6, John 6 in all Bibles is called the Bread of Life Discourse, because primarily it is about Jesus himself, and secondarily it is how Jesus comes to us, especially as we Catholic Christians have always believed, through the sacrament of his body and blood in the form of bread and wine. This food for the body becomes the food for the soul. It all becomes one in a magnificent, miraculous, you might say, wonderment of Jesus' working. And it is a bread of life that is multiplied with our faith in Jesus and in his love for us, that we, in a sense, can never just sit back and say, I don't have enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough to give to the poor. You always have enough. I don't have enough to stretch myself even more in this circumstance with my family or my friends. Always, he's multiplying. Like the prophet Elisha, Jesus is the greatest of all prophets. This is truly the prophet, writes the Gospel of John, the one who is to come into the world. And we know it is he who truly sustains us, because in a very real way, we are all poor. We're all looking for a handout from God, and only that handout can give us salvation and peace. God bless you.